to the Pinfall podcast. It's a very stress-free podcast tonight because we are not stressed at all.
Stress? What?
Stress? I hardly know her.
For those unaware American viewers and our unaware non-American viewers, so our unaware viewers, there's an election going on right now to decide whether the
Imagine if you... Go on.
I was gonna say to decide whether the big orange man leaves the big white house or not.
Imagine being an American viewer and just being like, "Oh, what now? What now's happening?"
Oh, I forgot to vote.
Do I still have time? You can tell I have the election over here on my one laptop. This headphone is election news. This headphone is Mark news. I might be cross-eyed by the end of this. It is Wednesday, though. Somehow the world didn't explode. I expected it to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wednesday. We're talking about NXT tonight. I am your host, Liz. I can totally breathe, and I definitely don't have acid reflux. I am joined by my co-host, sort of, PETA.
Oh.
And a much more important and considerably more engaging co-host, Mark.
We are here not as entertainment, but to suffer with you guys. We're not going to distract you at all from what's going on in the world. We're gonna suffer together.
I know we said we might do an election podcast, but then the election happened, and I said, "Hey, drink."
Mm-hmm.
We have been watching election coverage since 6 p.m. yesterday, nonstop. Probably not the healthiest thing to do. I got about 4.5 hours of sleep. So that's where I'm starting at tonight.
So for 28 hours. So you subtract those 4 that you slept, 24 hours.
Those were a good 4 hours.
Yeah, it was nice waking up to something changing.
It's been a very long time since I was up so late, especially with how my sleep schedule's been over the pandemic, where I've just been up until like 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
There's been very few times where it's been 3:30 in the morning and Wisconsin saying, "We're going to have our results by 4." And I'm like, "I'm going to stay up until 4." And I conked out. I think I conked out 2 seconds after I said to myself, "No, I've got to stay awake." And then I was just like, anyways. I genuinely thought that we were going to wake up, though, to the news being like, "Everything's on fire." So it was a nice ease into the day, at least.
Election machine broke.
All right, well, I guess we could get around to the news.
Nah. There's enough news happening in the world.
Just want to like vibe for a little bit.
No, let's
You
just
want to talk about any of the Chris Jericho articles I saw today?
No, let's just move on.
The news.
No, past that.
The news.
No, past that.
To the news.
Thank you for watching the Pinfall podcast, everybody.
Go to the news.
Fine, go to the news. God.
For anyone who's been watching the election coverage on CNN, I just need to know if this very much goes directly to Milam, because I know Milam was watching CNN, because I've seen a lot of his John King tweets. So Milam, when you get around to watching this episode, I just need to know if you also think that Rick Santorum sounds like AJ Styles. Because I can't listen to him for multiple reasons, but that's another reason.
Also, quick update. According to Associated Press, Biden is down 0.6%.
To the Associated Press that, like, still says Arizona is the winner, or Biden's the winner of Arizona, so.
All right, well.
I'm listening to no news site other than CNN at this point.
Even though CNN's the only one saying that he hasn't won Arizona.
Because what they were just saying on here, that basically, like, there's still a chance that Arizona could flip back to red. There's still, like, a feasible numerical chance that could happen. I really don't want to be like, Biden won Arizona, and then tomorrow morning wake up and be like, Biden didn't win Arizona. I'd much rather be disappointed right now and then elated.
All right, so wrestling news, because this is a wrestling podcast.
So let's start with the WWE canceled trademark application for Cody Rhodes' name, which I never understood why they had it in the first place, all things considered. Or why they were trying to trademark it.
They were trying to.
That just seemed like a dick move.
They were just trying to get that money.
Right, but like the thing is, it's like you're not going to merchandise it. So what? Ultimately, if you're not going to use it for merchandise, which would make sense, what are you gaining?
Probably so that AEW can't use it because Cody Rhodes is associated with WWE. And if Cody Rhodes suddenly is on AEW, people are like, what?
Well, yeah, basically, I think the thing is, it's like, it doesn't benefit the WWE, like, directly, but they are technically holding back AEW from benefiting. So I guess sure. Speaking of AEW and wrestling, specifically WWE, I guess Sting is going to AEW? Question mark?
Didn't we talk about this in the last podcast?
No, I do not believe so. I believe we talked about this to one another.
Okay. Well,
I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but it sounds like it is. I don't think that he would be doing any real wrestling, considering his body is still, as far as I know, McFucked. And he's an older dude, but I think the thing that's confusing to me about Sting potentially going to AEW or going to AEW, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but is that Sting's biggest thing, the biggest thing that Sting is known for is obviously Sting with the face paint.
Right.
I'm sure that is trademarked. I am sure that he cannot show up at AEW with that same face paint. So, like, half the recognition is gone. Especially if it's not wrestling.
Unless they didn't. Maybe they didn't trademark that.
If they trademark Cody Rhodes' name this long, or were attempting to trademark it for longer into the current times, I have to imagine. I mean, they just trademarked, because they're, this is not part of my news, actually, weirdly enough, but Raquel, trying to give her a big push, obviously, they trademarked one of her moves. Or they trademarked one of her nicknames, I think. Something like that. They trademarked something that was not her name or anything pertaining to that. It's just a very small thing. I believe it's just a move. But it's just like, if they're trademarking that, like, I imagine they had to have trademarked his face paint.
I mean, it's easy to write out in a document like, what are you trademarking? Cody Rhodes. Like, or send in a file of, like a picture or something. It's hard to be like, oh, this guy's face paint we're trademarking, because, like, how do you trademark that?
Same way you would trademark anything. You would just be like, this is Sting's face paint, and we're trademarking it. Like, you basically show, like, a technical drawing of what it would look like on a face. I don't know how to explain it, because you haven't been in, like, do you know, like, with makeup artists, like, when they're doing, like, theater productions and, like, movies, makeup artists will, like, kind of, like, paint on, like, these, like, outlines of a face, like, what blush they're going to use and what eyeshadow they're going to use. I would imagine it would be something along the lines of that.
Well, yeah, if they do have a trademark for it, maybe it just expired. Maybe they didn't renew it, because they did remove all of his merch from their store. But
That's a big loss, though, for them. I mean, Sting's a big-ass fucking wrestler.
yeah.
Next thing we can talk about here, right now I'm just talking about stuff outside of WWE. We'll get back into WWE at some point. EC3 is officially finished with Impact. He has decided that he is done with it. He is leaving. No one knows where the fuck he's going, but a lot of people are signing with Major League Wrestling right now, which is interesting.
No, he's wrestling at Ring of Honor right now.
Oh, is he going over to ROH?
Yeah.
So, okay, this is one thing where I might have, like, a disconnect on. Sorry, my, like, breathing's horrible today. Be, like, gasping for air for most of this, but, with people that are, like, in Impact, I thought that they could kind of, like, go where they wanted. Like, it's not like you've signed a contract here or there. I thought, like, with the indies, it was like, you can do what you want, go where you want. So if he's saying he's done with Impact, he might still be doing Ring of Honor.
Right.
I also could be totally wrong, because I do not know anything about the indie wrestling scene, like, in the slightest.
I assume it's what, it's exactly what WWE says they treat their wrestlers, like being independent contractors. Although they don't act like it, they're probably what they preach about.
Yeah. But yeah, he's done with Impact. Seemed kind of pissy about it, which is interesting to me that he's just dropping off of Impact. Kylie Ray just dropped off of Impact because of mental health issues. It's like, what's happening over there? It's a coincidence, I guess. How's your breathing? So, okay, Brie and Nikki Bella want to potentially, maybe, sort of. This is an article reading into a comment on a picture. But Brie and Nikki Bella might have the desire to make an in-ring return.
Okay.
I'm reporting on this out of wishful thinking. Of course, when you consider the current state of the world, the fact that they both just had children, if that were a realistic desire, it would not be happening anytime soon. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, maybe they, like, miss wrestling, but, like, I miss playing softball. I'm not about to go join a softball league. Yeah. They're making fuck tons of money just with all their own shit, so they aren't dying without the WWE.
Yeah. Maybe it has to do with Daniel Bryan's return. Maybe Brie looking at that being like, maybe I could, maybe, I don't know. Plus, by in-ring and return, it might not even be wrestling. It could just be like, being a personality, being a face.
Existing.
Yeah. Doing the same thing Carmella's been doing the past month.
So Carmella's actually supposed to be wrestling. It wouldn't be shocking if they did come back in that context. Also, just so you know, like a little sidebar for future predictions that we have for pay-per-views. The WWE has no current plans to bring back Goldberg or John Cena. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Wait, say that again?
WWE has no plans currently. This is not a piece of news either. But they have no current plans to bring back Goldberg or John Cena.
Sounds fake. I'm gonna choose to believe that they're bringing back John Cena next week.
Alright, sure. Why not? I'm in the Firefly Funhouse every fucking week now, so he'll find his way back. So there's two more. So speaking of surprise appearances, the WWE really wants fans to be around for the Royal Rumble. There's no clear plan as to how they're going to achieve that. But you have to consider the fact that like half the joy of the Royal Rumble is like random ass fucking people being there, and you're like, holy shit, it's this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, isn't that what happened with Edge?
Yeah,
Back at Royal Rumble or something.
That's how Edge made his big return.
It makes sense to want fans there for that, but like, we all really want things to go back to the way they used to be, and I don't know if it's like realistic.
Right.
And my last little piece of news, which I'm actually just so fucking jazzed about right now, like, if I could breathe and I didn't have a slight headache and wasn't extremely stressed out, I would actually be super jazzed about it. The people that produced the docuseries Last Dance about Michael Jordan, the one that gave us, and I took that personally, they are reportedly working on a Stone Cold Steve Austin documentary.
Okay.
I'm fired up because apparently Last Dance was amazing. And I love Steve Austin.
Who was it that ruined his career? Was it Bret Hart?
Do this constantly.
I think it was Bret Hart.
I think. Yeah. I watched a video that was talking about Eddie Guerrero's tribute episode after he passed away. I believe it was this. I was watching a compilation of like horribly sad episodes of WWE wrestling. So, something for punishment. But apparently, Stone Cold's send off for him was he cracked open a fucking cold one for himself and for Eddie and put it in the middle. Put Eddie's in the middle of the ring, and I was like,
there is nothing more Stone Cold.
I love Stone Cold so much. I just wish, like, I feel like I probably should get into watching his podcast. I feel like I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
I feel kinship with him. I feel like we'd be on the same level
of
just not really there.
So, matches and promos? I forgot to take out my notes again.
And just so you know, CNN has currently reported absolutely nothing new. Rick Santorum's just talking shit like he normally does.
Cool.
And you can see very, very lightly. There we go. That's a cat.
Disgusting.
Just absolutely face planted into the mattress there. Total respect, dudes. Okay. Vibe with me.
What's going on?
Oh, fuck yes. Well, if you must know, my NXT is really just on its last little leggies. It has ripped up paper, so the tape is no longer very sticky. And it was not, okay, it was not on the back of my board. I don't know where it went. I was going to have to write a new one. Ooh, okay. Board has changed. Now a 0.6% difference. So, as NXT loves to do, we immediately jumped into tonight with Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai. They kind of just rolled around for a little bit. There was an arm sub on Dakota. Dakota fought free. There was a lot of submission holds on in this match. Just like so fucking much. I fought out of the submission. She took Ember's leg out. And then she was immediately back into like not super successful, but still an attempt at an arm sub. This arm sub was then reversed on Ember. And then there was a head scissors hold on Dakota. Dakota somersaulted over her to break free. Was immediately put back into the arm sub. Then she had a chance to pull Ember's arm backwards. Ember broke free, got a wrist lock on Dakota, and Dakota slammed her to the ground. Ember Moon still managed to kip up, and then shoved Dakota backwards. Ember took Dakota's legs out, and then there was an elbow drop and a senton onto Kai. They were on the apron at this point. Dakota sent Ember's shoulder first into the post before holding Ember's arm against the turnbuckle with her foot to further dislodge the shoulder joint from its home. Then she pulled off an arm sub onto the now injured arm of Ember. She slammed Ember arm first into the turnbuckle and then kind of almost had like an arm bar going, except like her feet were kind of against Ember's side. Got her into a triangle submission. Ember sort of fought free, was immediately put back into another triangle submission. Ember then planted Dakota into the canvas. There was a step up in Seguri. Ember went to bounce off the ropes, but Dakota just stopped her with a forearm. There was a kick to Dakota's jaw off the middle rope. Moon then trips Kai as she bounces off the ropes and then kicks her in the head as she dangles off the apron. Then we have a suicide dive out of the ring through the ropes, sending Dakota into the barricade. Ember goes for a second one, but Dakota dodges it, sending Ember into the barricade. There's then a standing head scissors that slams Dakota into the canvas and a massive spine buster to Dakota. Dakota managed to kick Ember in the cheekbone and then did like some weird fucking move. It was basically Panama Sunrise. Like Ember went to like lift her up for the face buster. But like Loma's core strength over here rolled her body through to roll Ember up. Ember then picks Dakota up. She wiggles free from that. She kicks Ember in the face, and then Ember goes to the middle rope, pulls Dakota's jaw into her shins. Ember Moon and Dakota start punching each other. Finally, Ember's just like, right here. Just do it one more time. And the moment Dakota goes for it, she's shoved immediately into a crossface. Dakota tries to roll Ember up to get out of it. Then there's like a lot of crucifix roll-ups. Like it was one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Dakota begins pulling on the previously injured left shoulder, bringing it back towards the right shoulder. Ember reaches the rope, and Dakota uses the hold that she has for as long as she possibly can. And then we got what I think may have been the biggest bitch slap in the history of, like, the current functioning world, to Ember Moon. Kai is then whipped into the buckle. There's a massive hip toss to her. Raquel Gonzalez senses danger. She distracts the ref, giving Dakota Kai the chance to kick Ember Moon in the head. Pulls Ember's lifeless body over the corner before dropping her, and as she goes down, she kicks Ember in the head to win. Not my favorite match. Like there were moments where I was like, this could be really awesome, and then just...
It was great up until we got to the distraction because they couldn't figure out a good way to end it.
Yeah.
But after that, we go into an interview with Cameron Grimes. where he's still traumatized from Halloween Havoc, and he's being interviewed by Mackenzie, and Cameron Grimes is just freaked out so much. And he's like, I can't believe Dexter Loomis is a zombie. I couldn't believe it. And then the ref that was at the haunted house was got up right next to him, and he got scared shitless when he mentioned that he had a match with Kushida. And then he ran off. And then that leads us into our next promo. An interview with Shotzi, where Schatzy said, after hosting Halloween Havoc, William Regal gave me the chance to challenge whoever I wanted, and so I picked Toni Storm. And then that leads us into our next match, Ushita versus Cameron Grimes.
I thought it was so nice that Willie Reeves was like, thank you so much for doing me this favor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who else I would have fucking asked to do it. You can choose anybody and kick their ass if you choose. However, Kushida versus sweet Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is not looking happy. My poor dude's just running around the ring like a scared dog while Kushida is out for fucking blood. He finally just yells at Kushida for getting way too close to him, as Kushida is constantly just like trying to take his legs out. I'm just trying to retweet the. Yeah. So Kushida is thrown into an arm sub. He fights free of it and then tries to roll Grimes up. Kushida then grabs Grimes' left arm, pulls that into a submission hold. They're kind of just flailing around a lot in like the typical Kushida style, where it's like he's just throwing his legs everywhere. Grimes then stomps on Kushida's head. There's a massive hip toss into an armbar on Grimes. The arm sub gets locked in on Cameron. Ultimately, Grimes ends up trying to lift his leg and kicks Kushida in the head. Throws Kushida into an arm submission hold. And Grimes just ends up right back where he started. His arm's getting pulled backwards. Kushida then stomps on Grimes' elbow. And massive fucking arm drag to Cameron. Grimes then punches Kushida in the back multiple times to break him down to the canvas. Kushida runs off the ropes, but is caught by Grimes and dropped throat first into the top rope. Kushida is then in the corner. He's being kicked by Cameron. There's a handspring off the ropes into a big old elbow to Grimes' face. And a kick to Grimes' head, an inverted atomic drop, an arm drag, a drop kick, all to Cameron Grimes. Like, the way that Kushida does it versus the way that, like, Jeff Hardy does this shit. Kushida's just like...
Yeah.
Jeff, like, does one, he's like, all right. And this one, and drop kick.
It's because he's still got his intro song stuck in his head, and he's got to keep along with that beat, but the beat's like really slow. And plus, he's old,
and part
so
of him just like wants to go like.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just his instinct.
On Monday, he literally did that, like in the middle of a match.
No, he did it like right at the end. I think he was just like, "Oh, baby, just go backstage. You're done." There's a Pele kick to Grimes' head. Kushida looks for the punt, it seems like, but Grimes dodges him. Kushida then sends Grimes to the apron and handsprings to kick him in the face. Kushida goes up to the top rope, crossbodies Cameron. Then there's a backslide from Cameron to Kushida. And then Cameron just powerbombs the piss out of him. I mean, Cameron was looking good, in spite of being a little puss-puss. I mean, maybe he's going to have a Roddy moment. Maybe he's going to come through on the other side. Grimes then places Kushida on the top buckle. He meets him up on the top rope. Kushida begins punching Cameron Grimes down before sending him crotch first into the top rope. Gets him into the hoverboard lock and throws him down to the canvas. Then have a soccer-style kick to the elbow of Cameron, and Grimes, in his just fucking confusion, I guess, KO's the goddamn ref. She goes off the ropes into the hoverboard lock again, and Grimes taps out, but the ref is still dead. So then there's a Spanish fly to Kushida, which knocks him out. Knocks Kushida like just fucking unconscious. Grimes pins him and once again realizes there is no ref. So he goes over to the edge of the apron. He's like, hey, ref, can you come back in here? And the ref's just like, please fuck off. Please, Cameron. And who comes out? Little Mr. Zombie Ref. He's here. He's not a zombie anymore. He's a person. And Cameron Grimes wants nothing to do with it.
Understandable.
He's like running scared around the fucking ring. Finally, Kushida gets him into an arm submission hold. Grimes, between screaming in pain and screaming in horror, taps out. It does lead me to one question. That ref obviously was a human. That ref clearly had no clue why Cameron was so fucking terrified of him.
Mm-hmm.
Are we supposed to assume that like the horror house or like the haunted house or whatever was like actually in Cameron's head or something?
Might have been. It might have been. Maybe all the zombies were in his head too.
Yeah, I'm just like wondering on that. Like, I'm sure Dexter wasn't, but like, just for the ref to be like, why are you scared of me? I'm like half your size.
Watch, like, next week they revealed Dexter Lumis has like mind control powers. That's why Roddy was so terrified of him, because he actually just saw zombies everywhere.
Roddy. At least we got Kyle back that way, so like maybe it was worth it.
Alright, so after that we had a little vignette with Toni Storm, where she addresses Shotzi's challenge to her. The main takeaway here is that Toni says that Shotzi is kind of a stepping stone for her. The same way that Ember said the same about Dakota. And that's a problem Dakota had. That a lot of people were saying that about Dakota, actually, not just Ember. But they're also pulling that same thing with Shotzi, even though Shotzi's been destroying all of the top women of NXT.
Well, as we learned, the next person to challenge for that title is not what you want.
Well, too bad. Challenging is much different from winning.
I'm not against anything that's happening.
But after that, we had a little vignette with Io, which goes exactly into what you were talking about. She's talking about her match with Candice at Halloween Havoc, and then mentions that her next opponent for the title will be Rhea Ripley. Shocker.
I mean, you had to see that coming.
Yeah, she never really had her shot recently for it.
And that's still unfinished business with them.
Right.
So.
Personally, I don't think Rhea will get it. Mostly because I still want Shotzi to be the next NXT Women's Champion. But we'll see.
I get a funny little vibe that we might be setting up for War Games here.
Yeah.
Considering Io made this challenge, or this threat, I guess. Rhea probably has to address that threat come next week. Then it's almost December, so I don't know. However, we bop right on down. A match that if it were in the main roster, I probably at this point would have like thrown myself into like moving traffic. I'm still not mad about it. We had Drake and Killian versus Everrise for the third time in a row. I'm not crying. I'm actually pretty pleased. Much I fucking cannot stand Everrise, it's kind of growing on me that they're so obnoxious. No, it's not growing on you.
It's good that they're being matched up with Killian and Drake, because I feel like that's the only tag team that they would kind of have a back and forth with. But just looking at like how they are, just so cringy. Like it's obnoxious.
The thing is that I feel like Martel's supposed to be purposefully obnoxious.
Right, and
which
I get that.
endears me a little more.
But also it's working. I don't like obnoxious people.
That's fair. However, Martel is immediately screaming right off the bat. We hadn't even started the fight at this point. Just yelling. Parker gets in. He has to face Killian, who just fucking clobbers the little man. Killian tags Drake in, who screams in pain from the tag. Killian then uses Drake as a tripping point for Parker. He sentons Parker before throwing Drake down onto him. Parker brings Drake over to his corner and tags Martel in. There's a backbreaker and a kick to the face of Drake in a team offense. Parker gets back in after a couple seconds. He's really just kind of trying to break Drake's neck off. Martel at this point is on the second rope, just leering down, screaming. Very imposing. Then we have an arm submission hold on Drake. There's an elbow to the top of Maverick's neck, and he is slammed into the turnbuckle. Maverick punches Parker and then kicks him in the face. He dodges Parker, sending him from the ring. Drake goes to the apron, does not tag Killian in like he should have, and jumps down onto Parker. And then it falls apart. Team White Guys, a.k.a. Pat, Mr. McAfee, Dunn, and Toni and Danny arrive.
It's Team Brit Am.
I'm calling it Team White Guys for now. I want them to have a cool name.
You think that name's cool?
Better than Team White Guys, I think. Or rather, it should be Team 3 White Guys and 1 Orange Guy. Because Dunn needs not to be that girl. Dunn needs to exfoliate his spray tan. He looks splotchy and orange. I cannot tell the difference between any of the features on his face because his hair is also basically the same color as his body.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one like orangey gold thing, like those like street performers that pretend to be statues until you get too close to them and they like kill things. Yeah, Team White Guys arrive. They talking shit. They come into the ring. Backbreaker to Drake. From one of the Everrise guys, I believe. And then McAfee and McAfee and his merry band of manly men beat up Killian and Drake while Pat films it because, you know, Pat's just trying to break into a new industry at this point, I think.
And then that takes us right into Pat's
The
crew.
longest promo in the world?
Well, it was kind of 2 promos wrapped up in one. We had Pat and the boys in the ring. Pat's talking. You know, they're talking about hanging up the Undisputed Era banner, waving it. They're going through all the names of the Undisputed guys, like just being shitheads. They get to Bobby Fish, and they're like the mustache one, the big mustache guy. And then, you know, they just keep on talking, and then they decide, wait a minute. Do we want to hang the banner? Or do we want to burn the banner? So they get an old school metal trash can, throw the banner in. Pete Dunne pours a lot of gasoline in it, and then just throws his nice.
Pete Dunne with a Zippo.
Yeah, but he just throws the cool Zippo into the trash can. And then they just leave. They just leave the burning trash can in the middle of the ring, and then they're out. But then they're out in the parking lot where the car is waiting for them, exactly where they left it. They start to get in the car, and then who but Killian Dain runs on in and tries to beat their asses after they interrupted his fight. He starts beating up Pat McAfee, but the other three fight back and throw him into the side of the car. You think that's over, but Pete Dunne walks away a little bit and then just kicks the door into Killian, sandwiching him in between the door and the car. And then they drive away, but not before Pat McAfee looks at the camera and says, "Hey, you all, I'm the best. You suck." And then drives off, and then we're left with Killian Dain on the ground with a face full of blood.
I hate Pat McAfee with all my soul. I found this promo incredibly funny.
I loved this.
Because, like, first of all, the fact that, like, Pat's like, we're classy guys. And I'm like, Oni's whole thing is that he lives under a park bench. Is that classy? Did I miss something? Is that where I'm supposed to be? And just Danny Burch fucking standing in the ring making all these fucking wild facial expressions until he gets the fucking mic. I don't know what the fuck he's saying because Danny Burch does not enunciate a word. It's just a lot of open mouth sounds. It was just a bit much. But I loved how after Pete slammed the door on Killian and they were finally like, okay, we're ready to leave now. Pat just like looks at Pete and he's like, we'll talk about this later. Like,
also, Nikki Cross responded to that on Twitter and said, "Right, that's it. What the," and 2 angry emojis. "Hold on, hun. If I can figure out what side of the road to drive on finally, I'll come get you."
me!
I just love the idea of her not knowing what side of the road to drive on still.
Like pulling out of like a parking lot being like, fingers crossed. It never stops being a frustrating promo for me to watch because I really don't like promos that are just like the generic heel promo where it's like, you guys all suck, like all the fans suck, X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, all right, it's been done. It's happening now with like a bunch of other wrestlers that do this chick. Like, whatever. I do like that Pat's starting to go down this road of like, we're good guys. Like,
I mean, I think Pat's whole thing, it's been more specific than just "you guys suck," because he's even expanded it onto Twitter and has talked about how elitist the wrestling community is and how awful wrestling fans are. And I think that's where his target is.
yeah, but I'm a wrestling fan, so I feel personally offended on a daily basis. I mean, I don't know. I guess like it's weird because like Elias says this. There's never been a time where Elias is like, "Hey, I need you all to shut your mouths." I'm like, it's Elias, whatever. Or when Corbin does this shit, or when Seth does this shit, I'm like, there's something about when Pat does it where I'm like, it sort of feels like, I guess, like when your friend brings like their friend over to meet you for the first time and like immediately like they're just hopping in on your jokes and like trying to one up you and you're like, Are you? I don't recall.
I don't know. I like where they're taking Pat right now. And you also have to realize this isn't just Pat doing this. It's also the writers that are writing him with this
I'm gonna blame
storyline.
Pat.
I know you will, and that's the problem.
I do wish that Pete Dunne had at least 3 facial expressions.
No. You get Pete.
Just
Pete.
like, he got out of that car and he straight up looked like he wanted to kill everyone that he was with. It's like, okay, buddy.
But after that we had Home with the Garganos again. And Johnny is he's just addressing Halloween Havoc and was like, I don't know what everyone's talking about. Spewing online that I hate wheels. I love wheels. And then he's playing Life. And he spins the dial. He's like, oh, big spin. And then moves and then he gets a call. And it's Ghostface. Ghostface says, I'm inside the house. Johnny says, yeah, I know you're inside the house. You're sitting right next to me. You can knock it off. And then Johnny beats Ghostface in a game of Life. And then, yeah, that's it.
I'm really loving Indy Hartwell's new incredibly masculine physique. I think it's really working for her.
You do realize that's not actually Indy Hartwell, right? Because Indy has COVID.
That's not Indy.
Or rather, nobody thinks it's Indy. Nobody thinks that's Indy in the costume.
But we're supposed to think it's Indy.
I don't think you are.
Dave Meltzer literally said we're supposed to think it's her.
No, he said the person that it's supposed to be is her, but we're not supposed to assume it's her because she wasn't there, so they're trying to throw us off the scent with this more masculine-looking figure.
I don't know how to explain enough times how fucking stupid that is. I don't get it.
I think that's why you find it stupid, because you don't get it.
It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. In like horror movies, when like the murderer, you see their silhouette and they like vanish into the darkness. If it's a woman, they don't show a man. They don't show a massive ass fucking man with a jacked torso. They don't show you that. What they show you is a lady physique. Because you're like, it's a lady. There's a hint. And then you're like, oh, it's probably the lady that we saw carrying that knife earlier. That would make sense.
If you're watching a horror movie and you're looking at the killer, trying to figure out who it is, do you wait until they're side by side with somebody and you say, okay, so they're like, that character is probably like 6 foot and the killer's like a couple inches shorter, making them about 5'11". So like, Stu over there is 5'11", so maybe it's him.
It's no. If I see the killer, I'm like, lady body, probably lady. Therefore, maybe this lady or this lady or this lady or this lady. They're all suspects now. If I see man body, I say, man killer. Therefore, man. Which man is it? If you showed me a lady, I'd be like, yeah, that's Indy. That's because it's wrestling. And there's no need to be this fucking convoluted about it.
I think you shouldn't be arguing stuff like this when we had a match with literal zombies and we come back a week later, nobody knows what's going on except the person who was in the match. So that's convoluted right there.
That's excusable. It's excusable. There were zombies. It was all fantastical. it's different when it's supposed to be a person. And the person's body is not the same type of body that the person has. It doesn't make sense. It's so stupid.
For the first time in her entire life, Liz is ranting about something that's not Chris Jericho. I want everyone to take note of this. Clip this, screenshot this, save this, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Alright, well, after that we go to Toni Storm versus Shotzi, so whenever you can find your composure to start talking about that.
All right. Oh, we have Toni versus Shotzi. There's a kick to the side of Toni's head. Then Shotzi, like, had to go over the rope, get back into the ring, and just, like, ate absolute shit coming back in. Just tripped right over that top rope and fell face first into the ring. Then there's a step up insecurity to Toni, and a welcome to the ball pit. Get a head scissors to Toni, a snap suplex to Shotzi, a headlock on Shotzi. Toni comes back in with another massive suplex. There's one thing that Toni can do well. Is the fucking suplexes look like they goddamn hurt.
Yeah.
Not my idea of a good time. There's a kick to the midsection of Toni, sending her into the corner, and then a big old bulldog. There's a knee strike to Toni's chin, a kick upside the head, and a senton to the back of Toni as she rests against the ropes. There's an enziguri to Toni, but Toni catches Shotzi, and then suplexes her again. There's another German suplex to Shotzi, and it's a near fall. Toni goes for the storm driver. Shotzi gets up over her first with the Saito suplex, dropping Toni. Toni then headbutts Shotzi, sending her down to the ground. Shotzi blocks Toni from getting to the top rope as they begin exchanging blows over the ropes. Shotzi was on the inside of the ring. Toni was on the apron. And there was a kick upside the head to Toni. Shotzi pulls Toni's head. Okay. Shotzi pulls Toni's head face first into the apron. A modified DDT that also looked like Shotzi knocked her fucking skull at one point. So, again, another one of those who's hurting more deals.
Yeah. Shotzi took a lot of bumps in this match.
Yeah, she was looking a little messy tonight. We have bad days, I guess. And then on the good old Thunderdome screen, or rather, sorry, the Capitol Wrestling Center screen, disappears. And Shotzi's little tank is left in the middle of the road. Shotzi's like kind of stressed about this, and Candace says, "Oh, don't worry, I'll make sure no one hits it. Don't worry, you got me." Toni takes advantage of this and rolls Shotzi up to win. Candace then says, "Oh no, there's a car coming." She stops the car, then gets into the car, and runs over Shotzi's tank while Shotzi screams in fucking agony. Turns out, the tittyless Indy Hartwell is in the backseat of this truck. And after all is said and done, and Candace and fake Indy drive off into the sunset, and he's like, damn, Shotzi's real broken up over that plastic tank. Like, I guess I'll console her. Because she just looks absolutely flabbergasted by how horribly mean Candace can be. So, I guess that's setting something up there.
This match was messy. That moment where Shotzi tried to jump on the ropes and just fall. That was bad. I felt so bad for her at that moment. I was like, oh my god.
That was, I think they, like, tried to make, like, an excuse. I think Wade tried to make an excuse that was like, oh, she seems a little out of it after Halloween Havoc. And I was like, wait, it's fine. We don't have to talk about it.
No, it was Vic that said that.
they both blend together at one point or another. I just learned today because of Mark. Mark was watching a wrestling match with Randy Orton, and I looked over and I was like, "Who is that handsome man in the middle of the ring?"
It
And Mark was
was
like, "Oh, this guy? It's Wade." And I was like,
Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton at Survivor Series for the WWE Championship with John Cena as the ref.
I didn't even notice that. I did not realize that Wade was, one, that fucking tall, and two, that fucking attractive. And I said,
Because that was him without a beard.
"Hey." Yeah. Beardless Wade is probably my favorite Wade.
Yeah.
Also, I really thought he was a short dude. If he's as tall as he is, that means that Vic has to be pretty tall, because when they were first introducing Wade when they were back in Full Sail and they first brought Wade on, they were standing next to each other and they were like the same size.
Vic seems like a tall, lanky guy.
Yeah, I guess it's fair.
But after that match, we have a promo with Legato where they're walking in a formation like they're a pack of geese or something. And they're interviewed by, I think it was Mackenzie, saying like, don't you feel bad that you had to cheat to win against Jake Atlas? And I think like before they could even answer, Jake Atlas rolls in and is like, hey guys, smacks Wild with a lead pipe and then drives away. So that happened. I don't care. And we're moving on.
That's fair.
Especially considering the main face of this story is Jake Atlas, and he was just used as enhancement talent against Tommaso Champa not too long ago. So NXT has made me not care.
I mean, and that's totally fair. Anytime I see any of the Legato guys, I'm just like,
I miss when Drake Maverick was part of the story.
yeah, I mean, I feel like we never got justice for Drake.
We never did. Um,
Mm,
What's that?
Tam Thatchy Thatch, Unsanctioned Murder Time, live on ice.
Yeah, so actually this is Tim Tam sanctioned murder time. Because this is in the ring. Whenever it's in the ring, it's sanctioned. When it's when it's in the weird dark alley, it's not sanctioned.
In the darkest corners of Tim Tam's mind.
This time, as his pupil, he has, I think his name was Akeem. I think that's what he said.
Was it Akeem or was it the King? Because, like,
I feel like Tim Tam would never call anyone else the King.
the only reason I said that is because, like, when I looked at his his trunks and like his socks or whatever, like his knee pads, it looked like Lord Farquaad. If Lord Farquaad were a fucking wrestler, and that's why I kind of thought maybe that was the case.
Let me see. I should be able to pull it up right now, actually. Guess not. I guess that site hasn't updated their results. That site hasn't updated. Oh wait, go to a different page. God, this is annoying. Okay, so it's not on page 4. God, no site makes good. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it was Akeem. Akeem. But yeah, so Tim Tam has Akeem in the ring, and he's being a little more cautious this time. Hello, Buns Glazing. Welcome back. We are talking about Tim Tam's sanctioned murder time. And So Tim Tams tries to get a little. He is a little more wary this time, a little more cautious. Um, puts Akeem in like I think he calls it head guillotine. And shows him how to break out of it and everything. And does the thing he always does, where he shows him how to do the move and then tries to break his arm. And then, but this time they get up, and Akeem's like, that was not okay, dude. And Tim Tams is like, okay, all right. You can put me in the hold this time. Oh no, was it? I'll put you in the hold this time, and you can break out, okay? And then so Akeem starts to go through the motions and break out. But then Tim Tams pulls oh, but what if I counter? And he slides out and pulls him into the ankle lock. Causing him to tap, but Tim Tams doesn't care.
Before we hop into the second part of this,
Mm-hmm.
the first time that he was trying to break the guy's arm, the guy's tapping mercilessly. And Tim Tam just straight up says, is he tapping because he has a crushed soul, or is he tapping to lull me into a false sense of security? It's like, him! Stop! I love you.
Oh.
My hero.
But then, out of nowhere, Austin Gray comes out, whose name last time was Anthony Green. That was what his name was.
It was, because there's a singer named Anthony Green, and I was like, it's funny. It's the same thing.
But now Vic Joseph said his name was Austin Gray. Okay. And Austin Gray attacks Tim Tams, gets him outside of the ring, outside the barrier, and then just stands up on the corner buckle, posing. And that's the end of that, actually. We don't get any more of that for the rest of the night. In fact, we're just led to an interview with Xia Li. And every one of these interviews and promos gets vaguer and vaguer. I don't know if that's the right word.
Slightly more like stereotyping.
Is it stereotyping?
It feels like a little bit like exploitative, I guess.
Oh.
Just like the whole like. Well, I don't want to spoil the promo before you get into it.
All right. Well, so we just start off with Xia being interviewed by Mackenzie, and Mackenzie is questioning Xia about like the weird envelopes Zaya's been getting and like what's going on with Boa. And she just says, I can't talk about it. And then William Regal comes in and he's like, oh, here's a letter for you, Xia. Xia opens it, reads it, and looks up at William Regal and says, I need to challenge Raquel Gonzalez right now. Or for next week. A, Zaya's gonna get destroyed. And B, why Raquel out of all people?
Mark, because she dishonored her.
Oh, right, because she dishonored
Which was
her.
where I said, this is starting to feel like a little like... It's a little stereotyping.
I mean, I think just using the word dishonored makes you think it's stereotyping.
No.
Because in any other situation, it would have been, oh, they were an asshole to me.
Oh, no. That's not why I'm saying that. Why I'm saying that is because you missed this point when you were talking about it. These letters are coming from her family.
Mm-hmm.
Family is sending these letters, and they've told her that she has to challenge Raquel because Raquel dishonored her.
I thought
it's not Xia Li.
I thought Boa was sending them.
No, she straight up said during her interview with Mackenzie, the letters are from my family. Mackenzie was like, can you tell us what's in them? And she said, no, I can't. And Mackenzie was like, why not? And I was like, well, Mackenzie, because they're letters from her family. Why would she just open that up to you? I don't know, you nosy little bitch. Calm down.
I don't know. I don't think that would just be like grazing the surface of stereotyping. Um, I don't know. I think it depends where they go from here.
Yeah.
Just I'm more so annoyed at the fact that how vague everything is. Like, we are not being hinted at in any way. We're just like, we just see the letters. We see Zaya needing these challenges, and that's it. And William Regal, as kind as he is putting them together because he's a good man, a good British man.
Straight up during that promo, he looked like he was like, she's like, I want to challenge Raquel. And he was like, you sure? She's like, yes. And he's like, okay, sure, I guess.
Um,
Go.
but right after that, we have a promo with Rhea Ripley. And this was mostly just Rhea being like, yeah, I'll fight you for the title. I've been NXT Women's Champion before. I'll be it again. That's basically it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to see a Rhea fight that doesn't exactly directly pertain to Raquel or Dakota.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. Sorry, the cat was like breathing really heavy and twitching. Okay. She's snoring.
Okay.
I know, she's snoring. And I realized she was laying on top of a pair of nail clippers I had moved to the side of the bed because she normally sleeps on the far side. So I moved those and she woke up and just angrily burred at me. Oh, okay. And I pet her for a second and I realized she was drooling over her.
Well, you want to get us into the next match?
The princess. Yeah, so we have Tommy Boy versus 4 question marks. God almighty, was this a good match up until it wasn't a good match?
Yeah. Because it ended stupidly.
It ended in a way where it seemed like they didn't think they knew they were running out of time, I think. I think something went slower than it was supposed to because I don't think when I get to it there were some things I think took them a little longer to recover from. I think that what happened there I'll get into what I'm gonna say later. Yeah. So Dream immediately tries to attack Ciampa. There's a headlock on Dream as Tom. Damn. I call him Tommy in all of my notes, or Champy. And calling him Tommy just feels weird. But there's a headlock on Dream as Tommaso tries to choke the piss out of him, and Ciampa is like trying to pull Dream's cast off. I don't think is like a manual labor kind of job. I think that's something that you need a machine for, but a broken bone because I'm pretty impressive. Just saying.
Watch, now you're gonna break a bone tomorrow.
I may have broken a finger once. So Dream escapes having his injured wrist stomped upon. Ciampa shoves him in. Ciampa shoved into the chain link barricade and comes through to kick Dream as Dream comes around to beat him up a little more. Dream is then drops stomach first into the barricade, and we realize Ciampa's eye is bleeding. And every camera shot after you realize his eye is bleeding is not informative in any way. And it wasn't informative up until the very last second of the match. So Ciampa dropped Dream on the announce desk and then slams the injured arm into the little visor on top of the announce desk. Moss is pretty fucking pleased with himself. He, does his little clapping, pat on the back thing. Self-love. That's important. He then ends up absolutely just fucking yeeting Velveteen from the fucking ring. Tommaso then refuses to allow Dream to escape the ring area, brings the man back into the ring, goes to suplex him. It was the most terrifying shit I've ever seen because Tommaso lifts him up, bring him back down for the suplex. He's in the air, like, Tommaso's body was standing upright for so long, going down so slowly. I just can't imagine letting my body just fall backwards. Like, yep, this is fine. Because my body would be like, no, it's not. Ciampa's just like, bye.
Tommaso doesn't care about his safety at all.
That was apparent tonight. So there's a sliding knee to Velveteen, and then a fairy tale ending attempt. It fails, though. Ciampa decides, fine, fuck it. Just stomps on Dream's wrist a little bit. Also then drags Dream's arm through his legs as Dream is sitting on top of, like facing the barricade while sitting on the top buckle. Tommaso pulls his arm through his legs, sending him face first into the top buckle. Both men are then on the second rope. Dream tries to take Ciampa's good eye. There's a spinebuster Ciampa. One forearm takes Dream down to the canvas before just an absolute string of fucking forearms and clotheslines back to back to back to back to back up into like one sliding clothesline to Velveteen. Dream gets up to the top rope. Ciampa meets him up there, superplexes Dream back down to the canvas. Dream then sends Tommaso from the ring and crossbodies him. He then suplexes Ciampa over the rope. Dream kind of like lands on his neck on the rope on the way out, which I don't think was intended. It was really just the force at which Ciampa fell. So that took them a while to recover from anyways. There was then a super kick to Ciampa, and Dream gets out, goes to grab a chair. Ref's like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? He throws the chair and then decides, fuck it, goes up to the top buckle while the ref throws the chair out of the ring. Dream comes down. Ciampa knees him in the chin. Immediately, we're right in the perfect position for a Widow's Bell. Straight into the fairy tale ending. Ciampa wins. What I think happened here, because right as we see Ciampa wins, we get a close-up of his face, and I noticed that there was right around this part of like his lower eye a rivet beneath the skin. Ideally where the skin would be attached to the rest of the skin. I think something got a little bit gouged under his eye. What I think happened ultimately here was, because around the time the Dream grabbed the chair, it was about 10 o'clock. I think Dream was supposed to grab the chair, go for something. Ciampa was probably supposed to stop it. Supposed to end the way it did, more or less, with a little more struggle, I'm sure, with Ciampa kneeing Dream. I'm sure it was not supposed to immediately roll right into the Widow's Bell and then the fairy tale ending. I think that last chunk of notes that one last note that I read, I think that was supposed to be a much longer series.
Mm-hmm.
But Dream was grabbing the chair at 10. So they were running out of time. They had to do something. And I think that was the easiest way to just vibe through the whole fucking ending.
Yep, so that's the end of our matches and promos today. So I want to move on to best of the night?
I do, but I want you to get a little more jazzed. Very not jazzed right now.
It's hard to get jazzed over a couple things. This wasn't a very exciting episode of NXT. There wasn't a whole lot at stake. It was more so just random matches. And, the overall stress of the world right now. Or the country, rather.
Want to use our go-to excuse? Because it was technically a post sort of pay-per-view match.
It was a post episode.
Right.
All right, so best promo of the night. I don't want to just reverberate what I've already been saying about these promos, so I'll kind of give more so of my opinion than just a recap. So the Cameron Grimes interview, that was so funny. That was so funny. I'm so glad that they kept that whole trauma. And that's kind of been a big thing with Dexter Lumis, is that every character that comes into contact with him is just so traumatized. And that's like the biggest thing. Roddy was traumatized. Cameron's traumatized. And then we had the Shotzi interview, which was nice to see that, William Regal's very appreciative of his wrestlers. I like to think that he's the real owner of NXT, not Triple H. But then we have a little vignette with Toni Storm. It's pretty lame. A vignette with EO. Again, pretty lame because the vignette montages they do are never really like super interesting. They're just kind of cliche. But then we had Pat's crew talking in the ring. And they were standing in the ring for a while, but I was pretty invested the whole time. I was vibing with what Pat had to say and what Pete didn't have to say. And then kind of the progression of everything, like burning the banner, was a good little tidbit to throw in. Everything that happened with the car was great. I think everything about this promo is fantastic. It gives me real good hope about Pat being in NXT and this stable he's putting together. It also makes me wonder what's going to happen with Ridge when he comes back, if he's going to be a part of this stable or not. If he ever comes back.
Fired.
Was he?
Well, from Pat's team, yeah, because Toni was hired in his place because Oni took Ridge out.
Well, maybe if Ridge comes back, he'll come to the Undisputed Era guys and be like, hey, fuck this Pat McAfee guy. And then they'll replace Bobby Fish with Ridge. And then they'll go after the Britams.
This is upstate New York, pretty sure.
Hey, he is the lowest ranked wrestler in WWE right now.
Spoken like a true Southern New Yorker. No respect.
I'm sorry, I don't have respect for QAnon people.
We don't know that!
Oh. Are you okay?
I could say so many mean things right now, and I'm not going to.
Okay. Alright, so after that, we have Home with the Garganos, which was nice. Johnny's hilarious as always. This didn't really add too much as far as storyline goes. I mean, I think Johnny did declare that he was going to have someone challenge him next week to kind of break up the curse that he has. But yeah, it was okay. It was all right. Also, definitely not how you play the game of life. You don't just spin, move, and then you win. But after that, we had the Legato promo, which I don't care about at all. And then we had Tim Tam Thatch's sanctioned murder time, where he murdered Akeem this time. But he himself was murdered by Austin Anthony Gray Green.
Man of a million names.
Yeah, this was good. I wouldn't say this is as good as the last one, but we are getting a nice story progression somehow with just Tim Tams and trainees. I think that's really cool that they're doing that. After that, we had the vague ass Xia Li interview, which I have no thoughts on. Head empty. Just like William Regal in this promo.
Dude was dead on the inside.
Then we had a promo with Rhea Ripley, which was another one of those boring vignettes, so nothing too much there. And that's it. That's the end of our promos. And so, promo of the night. Let me bring my mic up a little bit. Promo of the night goes to. Can I get a drum roll, please? Pat McAfee. And his goons. I mean, what else would you give it to? It had everything.
No. The moment I saw the promo, I was like, fuck. Fuck. I really liked it.
It also helps that
It kills me to say.
their stable's like a really well put together stable that has many different personalities. Because you have Pete Dunne, who's emotionless. You have
I would
Oni.
not call that a personality.
You have Oni, who's like bananas, barely talks. You have
But an anagram.
you have Danny, who is also kind of bananas, but talks a little more. Then you have Pat, who's smug and is a piece of shit. It's a good group of guys. A GGG. So are you going with that?
Yeah, it kills me. It breaks like every spiteful, nasty part of my soul is crumbling.
All right. So now we move into Wrestler of the Night. I'm not too impressed here, so it's gonna be a pretty one-sided one for me. Like I am very dead set on who I want to pick. So we start off with Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai, and my pick here is Ember Moon. Both Dakota and Ember were great today. But I think Ember showed a little more personality in her fighting. I love the moment when she was like, "Come on, just slap me, just give me one right on the cheek," and then didn't even let Dakota. And her wrestling was also great. Like the way she incorporated more submission techniques today. I loved it. She also had some really cool moves that really like blew me away, more so than we've seen her so far. But after that, we had Kushida versus Cameron Grimes, and I gotta go with Kushida. Although Cameron's the big character of the show, Kushida's wrestling was all here today. He looked fantastic. My one criticism of Kushida, though, is he needs more character. He needs just a little more spice to make his persona come to life a little more.
I don't know about that. I think that he has a really good character as it is. It's like the fire that he has. I do think there needs to be a little more cohesion.
Right. I think we need to get him on the mic more. If we're gonna push him in the way that we are. But following that, we have Drake and Killian versus Everrise. I guess I'll go with Killian here. Killian wasn't in the ring for very long, but Drake didn't do so much that was impressive, and I'll never ever give Matt Martell or Chase Parker Wrestler of the Night ever. But the way Killian like creatively used Drake in the match was fantastic. Using him as a way to trip Chase. It just shows their growing relationship and how they're improving as a tag team. You don't really get that a lot with random tag teams. Like, for example, on SmackDown prior to the draft, we just randomly had Lucha House Party and Matt Riddle. Right after that, we had Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy. Like there's no progression in tag teams. No like evolution. There's no lead up to it. And this tag team has been, like, this storyline has been going on for a while, it feels like. And then after that, we had Toni Storm versus Shotzi. And I'm going to pick Schatzy for this, but I don't think she looked good today. It was an off day for her.
She looked messy.
She looked messy. She looked like she was kind of not all there. I mean, as soon as she missed the rope jumping back in, you just knew things were going to go south. And then that weird DDT off the top rope, it didn't connect in the way I think it was supposed to. And then she had a lot of hits that felt way too light. She felt very floaty today.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a very off day for Shotzi.
She wasn't really there, it seemed like.
Yeah. But moving to our final match, Velveteen Dream versus Tommaso Champa. My pick here is obviously Tommaso. And not because I'm just not picking Dream, but because Tommaso looked incredible today. He looked ruthless, but not just ruthless. He looked focused. I loved when he was taunting Dream a lot. And he was really working with the eye injury to his advantage in the environment. I think Ciampa really, really worked with what he had today, and he looked fantastic. And I'll never get tired of the Willow's Bell. That is just it. It's whenever
Love that move.
When Ciampa does it, or Randy, or anyone who does a draping DDT, it always looks great. It's always fun, especially Randy and Ciampa, because they do like the facial expression right before they do it. Ciampa was just so good today. He was there 100%. There's not a single bad thing you could say about his performance today, because even with gouged eye lid, he still was.
It was so gross.
He was still like just outperforming today, and you got to give him that. And so, my pick for wrestler of the night for NXT tonight is Tommaso Ciampa.
I have to agree with you. I really liked how he looked. I like how he looks every night. There's rarely an off night for him. Just the way that he incorporates his incredible moves, the fact that he really doesn't pull his punches in like a very obvious way, and the fact that he's like, you can see his character too. I love watching him. I'm never tired of watching him. He's like my next Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. And I hope they push him away from the Dream story, just because I want to see him wrestle someone I like, or somebody that I am excited to see. But also, I like seeing him beat down on Dream, because it seems like he's just going all out to make him hurt. But moving on to our final best of the night match, we start off with Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai. I really enjoyed this match up until the ending. It was a great showcase from Ember Moon, probably her best yet this year. And Dakota looked fantastic as well. But they had the distraction at the end, which was annoying. Whenever they just have the face just get distracted by whatever somebody on the sidelines is doing, it feels so cheap. It feels so amateurish. Because what superstar, what focused fighter would just get so distracted by something so minuscule? So yeah, I like this match up until the end. It sucks because this is such a great match, but maybe get a little more creative with your story endings, which we do get one later on, and I'll get to that. But actually, it's right now. Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. This match, I think, was the best way to do kind of a twist ending, involving the ref, where Cameron Grimes is accidentally thrown into the ref. They try and do the tap and the pin, but it doesn't work because there's no ref. But then the other ref comes out, the one that Cameron Grimes is terrified of, and I think this was super creative. I think this was great story advancement, more than just a simple distraction. I think this was like the best way they could have ended this fight. Because a normal pin wouldn't have really advanced the story in any way. I think this is perfect. And I'm looking forward to seeing where Cameron Grimes' trauma goes. Because I wonder if it's going to bring him back to Dexter, or if he's going to carry this trauma into somewhere else. And, I mean, just besides that ending, this match was so fun to watch. Kushida is an incredible wrestler. And Cameron is great himself, but the reactions he gives, it makes it so entertaining to watch. And then we had Drake and Killian versus Everrise. Was starting off as an okay match, and then it ended with Pat's crew beating everyone up. I wasn't sure whether this match would be considered like a win or a loss, so I had to, like, during almost the entire show, keep refreshing all these results pages to see what other people were saying this was, whether it was Everrise win by DQ or something like that, or just no contest. The one website I found that had updated quickly, they said, Killian and Drake versus Everrise ends in no contest? ? Which is exactly how I felt with this. Like, it's not. This wasn't an ending. They just got beat up. I mean, I hope we never see Everrise, though, feuding with Killian and Drake, because now they have actual enemies. But after that, we have Toni Storm versus Shotzi Blackheart in a very messy match that I wish was better. Because Schatzy, I love Schatzy so much, and Toni Storm is a very popular wrestler who should make a very great match against Schatzy, but wasn't all here today. And then it had an ending that was better than the Raquel or than the Dakota Ember match ending, just because this felt more like Schatzy being distracted made more sense because she had a reason to be distracted. She had emotional stakes in what was happening. And then it also ended with a great setup in that Toni came over and consoled Schatzy, kind of in mutual acknowledgement that what Candice did was fucked up. So maybe this is setting up Indy and Candice versus Toni and Schatzy, which is a matchup I would love to see. And then we lead into Velveteen versus Ciampa. A really good match through the whole thing. Ended in a weird way. But I'm not going to say it was the worst way a match ended tonight. I think the best way to describe this ending is just Dream messed up. Because he tried to toss in the chair. The ref didn't allow that shit at all. And Ciampa just ended it normally. It's not like Dream got blindsided or anything. It's not like he got distracted. It ended as a normal match should. But we didn't really get any advancements in storyline at all. There was like nothing here to carry us forward into the next week. I can almost guarantee we're just gonna get Dream versus Ciampa again very soon. But with all that said, my pick for match of the night for NXT tonight, November 11th, or no, wow, November 4th, 2020, is Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. I think the match had everything from great wrestling to a creative ending that helps carry us into the next week, the next bit of storyline. I think it had it all.
I can't argue with you. I mean, I want to say Tommaso and Dream, but the ending kind of fucked it for me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this match. I like that we always get amazing moves from Kushida. He's like such a talented fucking wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
We get just so much personality from Cameron. Love it.
Yeah.
I'm not, again, and these are two other wrestlers where I'm just like having fun. This is fun.
We'll love to watch this matchup next week. But also hope that because we haven't seen the Cameron Grimes that's like a really, because we've seen Cameron Grimes as a really good wrestler before. We haven't seen that in a while. I'm hoping at the next takeover or War Games or whatever they put on next, that Cameron Grimes comes out. Because I miss that Cameron Grimes. But to run it back, our promo of the night, Pat McAfee and his goons go on an adventure. Wrestler of the night, Tommaso Champa. Match of the night, Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. Yep. Want to close this out, Elizabeth?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And if you're tuning in the future,
we hope there's a good outcome.
yeah, maybe Nevada will have its votes in by the time you watch this.
No.
Yeah. World's up in the air right now. However, thank you for tuning in. If you tuned in today, thank you. If you tune in the future, thank you. We will have the promo episode. Things just got really messy, especially with the election happening, and I haven't been able to focus on anything but work and election. So we will have the promo episode. Ideally, I'd say Friday, maybe. If not Friday, we'll try to do it next Wednesday. I really don't want to do it on a Monday. That's way too much stuff for one night.
Yeah.
Especially because it's a Monday. It's like first day back to work. But ideally, we'll do it on Friday. If we don't, we'll let you know. Yeah, if you have any good ideas, especially because we're doing this is gonna be more of a musical themed promo show. So if you have any local bands that you think don't suck, let us know in the contact stuff that Mark will read off to you in a second. And if you have anybody else, just let us know, because we'll promo just about anything. If you want me to promo your cat, fine, send me a picture.
Picture not necessary.
No, picture is necessary. I will not promo your cat if it looks like a goofball.
How are you going to know?
I'll know. I'll ask Pete.
Alright, well, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that follow button below and hit the little bell so you're notified whenever we go live. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you're notified whenever we put out a new episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, check out the Twitch, twitch.tv/the Pinfall Podcast. What are you doing if you're not watching live? You can come hang out with us. You can talk to us. What are you doing? I know, Milam, I know you're watching on YouTube right now. You should watch the live show. And if you want to check us out on Twitter, where we post whenever we go live, as well as our picks for Wrestle and Match of the Night. In case you missed an episode, that's at Pinfall Podcast. Remove the, and that's the Twitter. And there you can also DM us what you think, or any promos you would like to shout out, whether it's your friend who's in a band, your neighbor who's a graphic designer, or your little brother who is a shithead and you just want to shout them out online. So again, that's at Pinfall Podcast on Twitter. And follow our personal Twitters as well. I am at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elaine23. And last but not least, follow my personal Twitch, twitch.tv/Mark Cameron. Thank you. All right. Oh, and if you're watching on Twitch but want to watch the rest of this podcast or previous ones, our YouTube is the Pinfall Podcast. Just search that on YouTube. It's one of the first ones you'll find. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown.